I couldn't be prouder of him. We're very fortunate that he is in that position. But again, age is relative. Well, 80, he's a kid. But again, it's relative. He's younger than I am, so he's a kid to me as well, the president is.
This is my video update from Moscow, Russia, on this Friday, midday, July 21st. Let's talk about some news. And right now I am in front of the Bolshoi Theater, the famous Bolshoi Theater in downtown Moscow. Right over there is the Tsum department store. Right in back of me is the Kremlin. And I think that's over there. I think that's the Metropole Hotel, if I'm not mistaken. So, let's talk about some news. What is going on in the world today? According to Nancy Pelosi, Joe Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, he's just a kid. He is just a kid, everybody. And so when you have these latest allegations that Biden and his son Hunter were involved in a $10 million corruption scheme with Burisma in Ukraine, always keep in mind that Biden, he's just a kid. He's just a kid. So we have to go easy on Biden. The entire Congress has to go easy on Biden because he's doing stupid kid stuff, taking 5 million there, taking 5 million here, maybe going into the local 7-Eleven and shoplifting or who knows what, but he's doing kid things. So according to Nancy Pelosi, everyone has to just lay off of Biden because he's just doing dumb kid stuff. Anyway, let's talk about this latest bombshell revelation that Joe Biden and his son, his precious son, Hunter Biden, were involved in some nasty business in Ukraine with Burisma. And basically, the allegation is, according to documents released by Senator Grassley from very trusted informants, or a very trusted informant, that Biden and Hunter were providing protection to the Burisma founder and CEO, Mr. Zlochevsky. In Russia, there is a word for this. It is called krysha. The literal meaning of krysha is roof. But in Russia, it's also known as providing protection. If you're the mafia or the underground world, you may provide krysha, protection to the people that pay you. And that is what Joe Biden was doing for Burisma and for Zlochevsky. Zlochevsky, in these documents that were released, these Burisma officials and Zlochevsky, they said that the money that was handed to the Bidens was done in such a way that it would take 10 years to unravel. I imagine this money was going to companies in the Caymans and in Cyprus and in and who knows where else, in Hong Kong and in New York and in the city of London. And I'm sure all of this money was being funneled into different companies and different offshore accounts. And according to the documents that were released, it would have taken 10 years to have traced all of these funds back to the Bidens. The documents also say that Zlochevsky was not very happy with Hunter Biden he wasn't happy with giving Hunter Biden a job, putting him on the board of Burisma. And he actually said in these documents that Hunter Biden is stupid, and his dog is smarter. His dog is smarter than Hunter Biden. That's what these documents say. Oh, man. And when you get into some of the details of these docs, it says that Burisma, they wanted to IPO in the U.S., and the Ukraine prosecutor Shokin was on their back, and he was investigating them, and it wasn't going to be a very successful IPO if they had an investigation from the prosecutor in Ukraine. So they basically said that Hunter's going to handle it. That's what these documents say. They say, don't worry about any of it. Don't worry about the IPO. Things will go fine. Don't worry about the investigation. It's not going to affect the IPO in the U.S. because we've got Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden has his pops. So that's the game. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Krysha. That's the word that everyone has to remember and has to understand as to what was happening here. Like mafia stuff. That's it. Just mafia tactics. That's all that was going on. The Bidens provided protection. Joe Biden would go to Ukraine and he'd say some good words about Burisma as well. We have him on video telling Poroshenko, if you don't fire Shokin, you're not going to get the $1 billion. And so they fired Shokin, and the Ukraine government laid off of Burisma. Those are the allegations in these documents. And from what I understand, there's something like 17 audio tapes of Joe speaking with Poroshenko, who was president at the time in Ukraine, and they're talking about all of this, these favors that are being doled out, and the money that's being exchanged, and firing Shokin in return for certain favors and support. And you have audio files and you have documents, and I think one of the audio files was actually released as well yesterday. So that is what's going on. None of this is a surprise. I mean, we have Biden on video saying as much to the Council of Foreign Relations or whatever that think tank was. So, I mean, big surprise. Nope, not a big surprise at all. Me and Alexander, we actually did a video on this like 3-4 years ago. And Alexander actually brought up the word krysha. He actually said that all of this, Alexander was like, all of this sounds to me like it was krysha. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And now we know that's exactly what it is. So the FBI had the laptop in 2019 as well. They had the laptop. They knew it was legit. They told social media that it was some sort of hack job done by the Russians. The social media guys believed them. If you want to believe this story, I think the social media guys knew what was going on as well. But anyway, the social media people, they believed the FBI, and they started to cancel the New York Post and any type of articles or social media tweets or posts or videos about the laptop as Russian disinformation. So it was all one big conspiracy and collusion to protect Joe Biden and to protect the corruption. The U.S. government has no right at all to accuse any country in the world of corruption. No right to accuse any country in the world of being corrupt, or calling any leader a dictator, or saying this leader is a thug, or this leader is corrupt. They have lost the right. Period. You know, the funny thing about this story, I bet that if the media were to ask Russian President Putin what he thinks about this, you want to know what his response would be? I'll put money on this. His response would be, this is none of our business. This is a domestic affair of the United States. I'll bet you Xi Jinping would say the same thing. I bet you Modi would say the same thing. I bet you Orban would say the same thing. It's none of our business. This is a domestic issue for the U.S. We're not going to get involved in this. But if you ask Biden or Ursula or Schultz or Annalena 360, if you ask them about, what's going on in India or Russia or China or wherever, Venezuela, Hungary, they'll say, oh, Orban, he's a thug dictator. Putin, thug dictator. Xi Jinping, he's a dictator. What world leader wants to be like Xi Jinping? Name me one. Name me one. I bet you want to be like Xi Jinping now, Biden. That's for sure. Anyway, so, why is Biden escalating this war in Ukraine? I think this is one of the big reasons. He's been involved in Ukraine for a long, long time. Obama, he appointed Biden to be the de facto leader of Ukraine, the de facto president of Ukraine. He sat above Poroshenko. He sat above Zelensky. He was running the country for 3-4 years. I think Biden was vice president when Zelensky got elected. I'm not quite sure on the dates. I'm not good with dates. But yeah, Obama appointed Biden to run the country, and Biden took full advantage of it. And so one of the reasons he's in Ukraine is to cover his tracks, perhaps. He's invested in Ukraine financially, allegedly. I have to say allegedly. He's allegedly invested in Ukraine financially, invested in Ukraine emotionally, I imagine. One other reason he may be escalating is because deep down inside, he wants to destroy Ukraine. I mean, he wants to destroy Russia. But I would bet that Biden, deep down inside, he probably has like some animosity, a hatred for Ukraine, because he's probably thinking to himself, damn it, I wish I never got involved in that country. Now look what's happened to me. Now I've got these investigations, and I've got all of this heat on me. I just want to be done with this place. I wouldn't be surprised if he harbors a lot of ill will towards Ukraine because of the dirty dealings he allegedly had going on. All right. So, the U.S., they shouldn't lecture anybody about corruption. Anybody. Not one person should be lectured by the United States about corruption. The same goes for the European Union. The same goes for the EU. Reuters is reporting that EU ministers are discussing another 20 billion euro plan for Ukraine military aid. And this plan is going to be 20 billion euros for 4 years, and this is going to safeguard military aid for Ukraine up until 2027, 2028. I forgot the actual date that this is going to provide money to Ukraine. But that's basically what the EU is creating, a slush fund. Another slush fund is what they're creating. And is this money really going to go to military aid? Of course not. Some of it will. A lot of it's going to go to the weapons manufacturers. A lot of it's going to go to Elensky's pockets. A lot of it's going to go to, I would imagine, is going to make its way to Brussels. I imagine. So the EU, this is what they do. This is what Ursula is good at doing, is creating slush funds. She has a slush fund for everything. There's an app for everything. When you talk about the EU, there's a slush fund for everything. For everything. That's what she's good at. So on the topic of the EU, we have an article from the Associated Press. It says, EU lawmakers dampen Turkey's hopes of reopening accession talks. The EU Parliament is saying no to Turkey. Now remember, with the whole NATO Vilnius discussions between Turkey and the United States, Erdogan and Biden, and the concessions that Turkey made to allegedly allow Sweden into NATO, it still hasn't happened. The Parliament of Turkey has to vote on it in October, but in exchange for Turkey, for Erdogan giving his blessings, Erdogan was going to get F-16s, which is what he really wanted. He was going to get loans and cash from the IMF, something that Biden promised him. But Biden is a real mafioso. This guy, he's a real mafioso, man. I'm telling you, he promised like Erdogan, you get Sweden into NATO, I'll hook you up with some money from the IMF. This guy, God. But you know, Biden is a just like a cop. I'm trying to figure out the word, like a common criminal, like a pickpocket. You know, he's not very sophisticated, like the Clintons. The Clintons are sophisticated. They got foundations, you know. Obama, they've got board seats on Netflix, and they've got production companies and book deals. You know, Gates has his foundation. Soros has his foundation. You know, these guys know how to really make money off of favors. Biden, he's just more crude. You know, hey Erdogan, you vote for Sweden, I'll get you $5 billion from the IMF. Hey Zlochevsky, you got a prosecutor problem with Shokin, you give me 5, give Hunter 5, and I'll make sure that Shokin doesn't bother you again. Poroshenko, you get rid of Shokin, or else you're not going to get the $1 billion. You've got 6 hours. That's Biden. Anyway, you know, Erdogan went along with it. He said, okay, I give Sweden my blessing. And one of the other concessions that were made towards Erdogan was he's going to get some EU accession talks started up. And now we know that there's going to be no EU accession talks for Turkey, none whatsoever. So expect Erdogan to call up Putin. He's probably calling up Putin every day now because he knows he's been double-crossed. But expect him to call up Putin and to play the game that Erdogan plays so well. He's not going to get any EU talks. Turkey's never going to get into the European Union. Not that it wants to get into the European Union. People of Turkey, why do you want to get into the EU? Why? I mean, why enter a union that's crumbling? So that was some interesting news there that I wanted to share. We'll do a couple of more stories, and then we'll get to our clown world. Some quick headlines with regards to the conflict in Ukraine. We have Newsweek running an article saying Ukraine victory over Russia is this year or never, according to a U.S. veteran in Kiev. It's either this year or never. Reminds me of that Elvis song. It's now or never. Boy, you know what, guys? It's getting a little windy, so let me put on the mic, and I'll be right back. Type in Elvis, it's now or never. Enjoy some good music from the King, and I'll be back with some better audio. That should be better. It started to get windy. I started my video out, and there was no wind, and all of a sudden, the wind arrived. So this is the beautiful Bolshoi Theater. Did everyone listen to Elvis Presley, It's Now or Never? That's basically what this U.S. veteran is saying. It's now or never. An admission that Ukraine has lost. That's all this is. They're getting the collective West public, the population of the collective West. They're getting them accustomed. What's the phrase? The boiling of the frog, right? The slow boiling of the frog. They're getting everybody used to the fact that everything they've been telling you for the past year and a half has been a lie about Ukraine winning and Russia losing, and now they're just getting people accustomed to the reality of the situation in Ukraine, which is that Russia is winning big time, and Elensky is not doing so well. So what was I saying? The Bolshoi Theater. If you ever come to Moscow, this is a must. I would recommend ballet. They have opera as well, but when I was at the Bolshoi, I saw Swan Lake here. I don't know anything about ballet, but I came with an open mind and I learned. And you get dressed up, you put on your best suit, and you have an amazing time. It really is an experience. And I think if you want to get like the full experience, I would recommend ballet, but they also have opera as well. And it really is, it's an event. It's an event. And you suit up. You have to suit up. So let's see here. Another headline from 1945. Putin is smiling. What is holding back Ukraine's counteroffensive? And basically this article is an admission that Russia is gaining ground now in Ukraine's big counteroffensive. In Ukraine's big counteroffensive that offends me and you and everybody in this square, it's Russia that is gaining ground. So the counteroffensive that we've been hearing about over the past 3 months has actually turned into Russia's counter to the counteroffensive. We did a video on this on the Duran. I think that was the title of the video that we put up. Ukraine's big counteroffensive has turned into Russia's counteroffensive. That was pretty much the title. That's what this article is now admitting to. We did that video 4 days ago, maybe? And now this article from 1945 is saying, yeah, Russia's on the move. Ukraine is stuck. And they're asking the question, why? What's going on? You know, why? We all know why. We all know why. So RFK Jr., we'll do one more story and then I'll get to my clown world. RFK Jr. was testifying in front of Congress yesterday. What a display put on by RFK Jr. He's just very impressive, I have to admit. I don't agree with him on all the issues, but you don't have to agree with some candidates on everything. The big picture stuff is what matters. Everything else is open to discussion, debate, and you can talk about it and listen to their opinions, and you can give your opinions. On the big stuff, he's got it right, and he really schooled a lot of the congressional members, mostly the Democrats, who are going after him. They are smearing him in a big way. And why are they smearing him? Because they're afraid of him. If it was a level playing field, and they gave RFK Jr. the chance to go up against Joe Biden, everything being fair and equal, RFK would trounce Bidenopolis. He would trounce him. So now the DNC, the Democrats, they've resorted to their typical tactic of name calling and you're a this and you're a that and you're an ism and an ist and whatever. you all know the labels that they put on people that they want to destroy and smear and get rid of. And that's what they're trying to do to RFK. But RFK, I thought he did a great job in pushing back, and I thought he won the day. That's my opinion. And they went after him hard, and they're going to go after him hard, but he's got to be strong, and I think he is. I think he knows what he's up against, and he's ready. But the interesting part about this, the events that took place with RFK yesterday, is that they actually the Democrats put Debbie Wasserman Schultz to question RFK and smear him. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And here's a tweet from Viva Frey. He says, "It's almost like people have somehow forgotten that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a liar and a cheater, much like her Democrat colleagues." And underneath this tweet, Viva has some articles from a few years ago, one of them with the title, "Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign as DNC chair as email scandal rocks Democrats. And in the article, he has highlighted this paragraph. Schultz said she would step down after the convention. She has been forced to step aside after a leak of internal DNC emails showed officials actively favoring Hillary Clinton during the presidential primary and plotting against Clinton's rival, Bernie Sanders. Have we forgotten about all of the dirty tricks and tactics that Debbie Wasserman Schultz did in favor of Hillary Clinton and against Bernie Sanders? Have we forgotten all of that? That wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. And that's the person that they put up against RFK Jr., a man of integrity, a man of substance, and they put Debbie Wasserman Schultz to actually smear him. Shameful. Shameful. But, you know, they count on people having a short memory. That's what they count on. So that was an interesting exchange between Debbie Wasserman Schultz and RFK Jr. And I think we can get into the clown world. You know, there's like a plaque somewhere here on the Bolshoi which says constructed or founded in 1776. 1776. I remember seeing it last time I was here, but I just forgot where this plaque is. Maybe one of the residents of Moscow will point me in the right direction. But 1776, everyone. That's when this theater started, if my memory serves me correctly. All right, let's do a clown world. And in this clown world, we have a story from Business Insider with the title, Ukrainian helicopter crew says women flash them as they fly overhead to boost their morale fighting Russia. So this article basically claims that as helicopters fly over the battlefield to engage with the Russian military, the Ukrainian women on the ground, they flash them. I mean, what else can I say? You know, and this boosts the morale of the helicopter crew. The interesting part about this article is that when they interviewed the crew about this, one of the crew members admitted that half of his crew had died, which is sad. But these stories are pretty wild that they come up with. So this is the TSUM department store right here. And now we've made our way to Kuznetsky Most. All right, nice day, nice walk here in Moscow, the beautiful city streets of Moscow. That's it for my video today. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop right here. I'm wearing my Duran white t-shirt. Use the code GOODDAY and get 10% off. Kuznetsky Most. TSUM department store. This is where like the nice brands are. That's where you'll find Duran merch. No, you're not going to find Duran merch there. You'll find Duran merch online. That's where you'll find it. Maybe one day we'll be in soon. All right, everyone, take care.